Our past does not define our worth. True dignity is built from the choices we make and the strength with which we carry them out. Our small house, nestled at the very end of the alley, is a sanctuary always filled with the bright, unrestrained sound of children's laughter. There are moments when I find myself bending over a basket of freshly picked vegetables, my thin body etched with the weariness of a long day. But my heart is utterly at peace, a calm I once thought impossible. Looking at me now in this simple, quiet life, you would never be able to guess that I once lived through the darkest, most desolate years of my existence, a period so bleak. It felt like a permanent eclipse of the soul. I was only 19 when the world as I knew it completely and irrevocably collapsed. My father, the sturdy pillar of our family, had died far too early, leaving a void that could never be filled. Not long after, my mother was diagnosed with a grave illness, her medical bills mounting into a towering mountain of debt that surrounded us, suffocating our every breath. In my youthful desperation, a misguided thought took root in my mind. I believed that if I just sacrificed myself, just a few times, I could earn enough money to pay for her medicine and keep our fragile world from shattering completely. But that was a naive fantasy. The deeper I waded into that murky, treacherous world, the more impossible it became to find my way back. The path I had chosen was a labyrinth with no exit, each turn pulling me further into a darkness that consumed my spirit. There were countless nights, long after the heavy, theatrical makeup had been washed away, that I would stand in front of the bathroom mirror and stare at the reflection staring back at me. I didn't recognize the hollowed-out eyes, the forced, empty smile, the soul-deep exhaustion that clung to me like a second skin. Through a torrent of silent, desperate tears, I would whisper to that stranger in the glass, "Is this still me? Am I still in there somewhere?" With every fiber of my being, I prayed, begged, and bargained with any higher power that might be listening, hoping that the next morning I would wake up and discover it had all been just a terrifyingly vivid nightmare. But the dawn never brought such relief. It never was a dream. Reality remained relentlessly cruel, its grip unyielding and cold. The day my mother passed away, I stood numbly before her altar, my eyes conspicuously dry, my heart a fractured, torn relic of what it once was. It felt as if I had cried all the tears I had, leaving nothing but an aching emptiness. A single, haunting question began to ring inside my head, echoing relentlessly in the silent chambers of my grieving mind. If she were still alive, if she could see me now, would she want to see me like this? I didn't need to search for the answer. I already knew it with a certainty that was both devastating and clarifying. It was a truth that pierced through the thick fog of my despair. That was the precise moment I decided, with a resolve I hadn't felt in years, that I had to step out of the darkness. I had to find the road back, no matter how difficult the journey. I started again from the very bottom, embracing humility as my closest companion. My first step back into the light was washing dishes in a small, steamy restaurant kitchen, my hands raw but my conscience slowly starting to heal. From there, I worked as a shop assistant, learning to smile genuinely again as I helped customers. Later, I found a steady job sewing in a bustling garment factory. The rhythmic hum of the machines a strange, comforting mantra. The path was far from easy. People from my old neighborhood looked at me with scorn, their eyes sharp as knives, their whispers following me like a shadow. Their judgment was a constant, heavy burden. But I clenched my teeth, held my head high, and endured it all. I knew I had to. Little by little, piece by painstaking piece, I began to rebuild my life with honest wages meager. Yes, but they were clean. Each dollar was a testament to my commitment to a new beginning. It was at the garment factory, amidst the rolls of fabric and the whirring of needles, that I met the man who would later become my husband. He was kind, gentle, and saw something in me that I thought had been lost forever. I still remember the evening, the air thick with my fear, when I finally broke down, crying and trembling uncontrollably. I confessed everything about my past, laying bare the ugliest, most shameful parts of my story. I fully expected rejection, a look of disgust, or at the very least, a quiet withdrawal. But instead, he reached out, took my trembling hand in his, and held it firmly. He looked directly into my eyes and whispered words that would forever alter the course of my life. The past should stay behind. What matters? The only thing that matters is that you want to live differently now. In that single, profound moment, it felt as though the 1,000-pound weight of shame and regret that I had carried on my shoulders for so many years had finally, miraculously, fallen away. A wave of relief so powerful it almost buckled my knees washed over me. Even as the world outside our small bubble continued to gossip and judge, he never cared. Not once. He made a conscious choice to see me not for the mistakes I had made, but as I was in that present moment a woman who had found the courage to rise from the lowest, most crushing depths of despair. With him by my side, I slowly, cautiously learned that I was worthy. I was worthy of love, worthy of respect, and worthy of a new life, a life I could be proud of. Years later, when my child was old enough to understand the complexities of life, I knew I had to tell them the truth. With a trembling voice and tearful eyes, I sat them down and began my story. Back then, a long time ago, our family was so very poor, and because of that, I lost my way. I braced myself for their disappointment, for a look of shame or confusion. I feared my past would tarnish their view of me forever. But instead of pulling away, my child moved closer, wrapped their arms round me in a tight embrace, and said softly into my ear, "I'm not ashamed of you, Mom. I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you never, ever gave up." Those simple words pierced my heart more deeply than any pain I had ever known, not with hurt, but with a love so pure and unconditional it felt like a baptism. They were words of forgiveness, of acceptance, and of a love that saw beyond the past. At that moment, as I held my child, I realized the greatest, most powerful lesson of all. Our past does not define our worth. True dignity is not something we are born with or something that can be taken away by circumstance. It is built, choice by choice, from the decisions we make to be better and the strength with which we carry them out, day after day. Now, each evening, as dusk settles over the city, I return to our little home at the end of the alley. I hear the joyful sound of my children laughing. I see my husband coming home from work with a tired but loving smile, and I feel my child's small, warm arms wrap around me in a familiar, comforting hug. I smile, a genuine, soul-deep smile, knowing with absolute certainty that the past, with all its ghosts and shadows, has finally been laid to rest. And today, my present, this simple, beautiful life I have built, is nothing less than a warm and gentle dawn.